Hey, so this next guest is really cool. He's a fabricator at not a steel mill, but a steel shop. And he makes the stuff that we use out of steel. And it's really cool. He kind of goes into it and what the process is and kind of the troubles and trials that they deal with in it. But he's such a real person. And I don't mean to say that my other guests aren't real people, but true salt of the earth. I love this guy. He's awesome. I hope you guys enjoy this one. Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today I have a very special guest with us. I have Nathan Kephart. Hey, how's it going, Nate?
Oh, it's going great, man. How you doing?
It's a beautiful sunny day in Las Vegas. How about yourself?
It's a beautiful sunny day in Oregon.
All right. I love it. Which part?
Just south of Eugene.
Okay. Fantastic. It was kind of rainy there yesterday, wasn't it?
No, it was sunny. It was rainy last week.
Okay. Interviewed somebody from Eugene yesterday, and she's like, it's rainy. It's like, all right. It is what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So, Nate, why don't you begin? Just tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll kind of roll into it.
I don't know. I'm a fabricator. So I work with steel, welding, forming metal, cutting metal. I've been playing video games since I was 6. We started back with the Intellivision with the weird little controller, looked like a telephone with a weird little stick on it. I don't know. There's really not a lot to tell, I guess.
All right. Well, I love it. We'll talk about all of that in just a second. But before I get into that, I ask every guest a single question. I'm going to ask you just like I ask everybody else. So on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being high, how weird are you, Nate?
About average weirdness. About 5.
Why do you say that?
As I've gotten older, I've got a little bit calmer on my weirdness, I guess, I don't know.
All right. So that's actually the perfect answer. That's the answer I want to be hearing from gamers, because most of my guests are like, I'm a 12. No, I think we're all pretty much equally weird across the board, right?
Yeah, we should be anyway,
All right. All right. So you kind of told me you start with the Intellivision. Can you give me more of your gaming background? How did that progress? So obviously start with a joystick and then you ended up here today.
Well, so we had the Intellivision. I don't know when my parents got it. And we played that. We only had 5 or 6 games. We didn't have a lot of money. And then I think I was 7 or 8 when we got the Nintendo. And then we were pretty much going to be stuck with that forever. And then when I was 12, I broke my leg and my uncle gave me a Super Nintendo because I was stuck at the house with a broken leg. And then I started working. I got the 64, got the Sega Genesis, did the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, original Xbox. I mean, until it was the 360, excuse me, until it was the 360, the Xbox 360, that was when I mainly just focused on playing Xbox games. I stopped playing PlayStation games. But with the new generation of PlayStation coming out, I'm looking at the games that they have, and I'm kind of want one, but I don't really feel, I don't know, it's hard to spend that kind of money for a handful of games, you know what I mean?
Sure, it really depends on the games. I mean, the systems are until something comes out worth playing.
Yeah, so, and I have a small YouTube channel. I have 48 followers. And I had to figure out how to record the Xbox. The Xbox is so hard to record it without spending a bunch of money to do it. So the PlayStation is actually really easy to do that. And so that's also a thing where it's do I make the jump, go to the PlayStation so that it's easier for me, or do I stick with the Xbox, hope with the new one? They kind of fix that kind of being able to get your stuff out there easier, or what, it's kind of a tough question on that,
Okay, right on. What do you play at the moment?
I just started playing Rage 2 just a couple of days ago. I usually play Apex with some friends, but mostly I like the RPGs. That's another reason I want the PlayStation is they just remastered Final Fantasy VII.
Oh, I know,
And
right?
so I busted out the old Final Fantasy VII and played it all the way through again. I just really want to play the new one, but what are you going to do? You know, I mean, drop $400 on a console and buy one game.
That's right. Well, there are plenty of other good games on the PlayStation, but you know, obviously it's just an added expense.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whole console. I know that it's only a year exclusive on PlayStation, so we'll see if it does come to the Xbox, but that's a long time to wait. I'm kind of impatient.
For sure, but at least on the Xbox you got Gears, which is like my all-time favorite series.
Yeah, I do like Gears of War.
Okay, so let's talk on the preneur side. You're a fabricator. What does that mean? That like sounds so cool.
Well, we build all kinds of stuff out of steel. I mean, from the super mundane to like you go to the grocery store and they have like the flower section and they got the little rack that holds the extra bags to put the flowers in so they don't leak on the floor. Those little wire racks, I've built those. We've built parts of bridges. We've built stuff for the military. We've giant recycling machines. Right now we're doing Johnson thermal systems. If you go on YouTube, there's a video and we're building the giant diesel tank that goes underneath of them. And it's a lot of work to get those things done, but I mean, it's pretty cool to see it afterwards. You know, you just see like this pile of parts and then afterwards, here's this functioning thing, you know, and it has a purpose and it's going to go somewhere and it's going to, you know, do this. And it's kind of cool. You know?
That is really cool. Maybe you can kind of like walk me through the process of steel, because this is something I've never studied before. Like, how do you guys just start with slag and then melt it down, and then like how does this work?
No, we buy from we're a steel distributor plus a fabrication shop. So we buy steel from a steel mill, and that's all kinds. That's flat steel, that's round stock, that's solid bars, that's angle iron, I-beams, and then we have the machines that we have big saws that you can just cut it down, but then we have like the coolest one we just got in was, it's called a Mazak, and it's this giant laser, but it's for lasering tubes and angles and stuff. And so it grabs it and it slides it in, and then the laser is just in there and it will turn the tube and put all the holes in it, and it'll tap the holes, and so that puts the threads in. So you got those screws and you can screw stuff. I mean, it does it all, cuts it to length, cuts all the angles on it and everything. We just got that one in. It's a upgrade from our old one. Our old one got like really worn out, so they bought a new one, and there's only one other one that's the same size on the West Coast right now.
Really?
So we have we have the biggest Mazak that you can get on the West Coast. There's only one other one on the West Coast that's that big. Pretty neat stuff.
So like, is this a big shop or is this kind of a smaller shop?
It was a small shop, and then it got bought by a bigger company. They bought up a bunch of little shops around town and then combined them. And they were just a steel service center. So people would call in and be like, oh, I want a 1/4-inch piece of sheet metal this size, and they give it to them. So they wanted to be able to service people more by having the ability to make what they want. So not just give them the material, but make the stuff for them as well. Like, so, oh, your shop has too much work right now. Well, we can do it too. So if you want us to, we can build it for you too. And so I've worked for both ends. So now it's like big. It started out little, and now it's big. It's yeah, that's it.
All right. Like I appreciate what you did. My very first job was on an assembly line at a shop making water pumps. So I had to mill out all the pieces and attach it and then test it, and then the O-rings never fit. And so
Oh, I know that one.
the O-rings never fit.
Yeah.
So like, how does this work? Is it like a one-off kind of thing? Like I call up and like, hey, I need this one thing, or is it you do large orders, or is it all of the above?
So we're what they call a job shop. So we don't make anything specifically ourselves. We go out and we'll just get whatever work we can. And there's one company, Bulk Handling Systems, and they make these giant recycling machines. And it sorts all the recycling. They said they had it down to where it'll actually take like the leftover food gunk on stuff and separate that out and put it in composting. I mean, it separates everything out by itself. The machines are crazy. And so we build like the structure of it, and they put all the electronics and everything and put it together. And we signed a specific contract with them that they would come to us first for us to bid on the job. And so we have like a personal relationship with them, but then also there are guys that will come in and be like, I just need this cattle guard made. Like, it's just my personal thing. Like, but I'm not a fabricator. Could you build me a cattle guard? And we'll build his one cattle guard, and then we'll never hear from him again, you know? And then there's other companies that kind of come and go. They're just looking for the best price, you know? So they want the quality, but they want the best price too. So then there's like bidding wars. And right now with the economy the way it is, that the work is slowed down. And so like there's companies in California and Idaho trying to take work out of Oregon. I mean, so it's really competitive trying to get those jobs. So you gotta, when you're doing the job, you have to get it done as fast as you can, but you still want it to be the best that it can be. So right now it's kind of a tough time in our economy doing what I do.
Certainly. So how did you get into this? Like, this doesn't just seem like something you just flop into one day.
I kind of did just flop into it. I worked I'm only on my third job in my life right now. I worked at McDonald's when I was a teenager. And then my buddy got a job at a fab shop, and they needed a riveter. And he's like, well, I got a friend that could come and, you know, it's not the tough stuff, you know, it's just heavy lifting. And so I was like, sure, you know, it pays better. So I went there, and then we were slow on riveting. So the guy in charge was like, hey, you want to learn how to weld? And I was like, yeah, I'll learn how to weld. So he took me over to the weld cell, started showing me how to weld. And he was like, hey, you're actually pretty good at this. And I was like, well, I know nothing. You know, you're the one showing me, you know, like, this is on you. If I'm good at it, it's because of you, you know? And then I just kept learning as I went. And, you know, you go and you get certified to do certain kinds of welding so that you can do better in different jobs. And it's been 20 years doing it now.
All right. So part of the purpose of my show is I'm trying to bring on guests that, you know, my audience goes, hey, that sounds really cool. Maybe that's something that I would like to do. So if somebody wanted to get into fabrication, what advice would you have for them in order to follow your path?
Well, first of all, apply for the job. I mean, there's a lot of people, even where I work, like the welders, they get paid the most out of everybody because of the skills required. I mean, you have to know pretty much everything that's going on. And there's people that are like, well, I want to make that money. And we're like, well, anytime that they're hiring for welders, they want to hire internally. They want people to move up. You know, they don't want you to just be stuck doing, you know, sweeping the floors. You know, they want you to move up. And so they post for job openings, and they complain to us like, oh, well, we want to make that kind of money. And we're like, well, apply for the job. Like, we can teach you. Like, there's plenty of guys that I work with that are smart, talented, that can show people how to do what we're doing. But if you don't apply yourself, if you don't put in for the job, you're not going to get in. And if you're going to get in, and if you really want to get in, go ahead and try for that sweeping the floor, and then constantly be trying to up until you get to where you want to get.
I love it. That's fantastic advice. Okay. Now, your extracurricular activities, you mentioned that you're in a band before we started. You want to talk about that?
Well, I'm not in a band anymore.
I used to be in a band.
Yeah. We started playing music. My brother and my best friend and me, we started playing music when I was like 13. And me and my friend kept playing, and my brother stopped for a while. And we did a punk rock band when I was in high school. And then we did like a psychobilly. It's like rockabilly, but like punk-ish. And then as we got older, my friend was like, dude, I really want to play bluegrass. And I was like, dude, my voice is not good for a bluegrass band, you know? And he was like, no, we need to, like, I want to play bluegrass. And so we got a couple, his brother to play upright bass, and a friend of ours to play mandolin, and we met this girl that played it's called a cajon, and it's a drum that you sit on. It's just this box, and depending on where you slap the box, it makes different drum sounds. And so she was really good at that, and so we just started playing bluegrass, but with basically like a punk twist to it, because my voice is not bluegrass, you know, high and twangy, not me.
I love it. All right, and your YouTube channel, what's that about?
I'll do, I call it's Nate Pants 1, because I don't know how to change the name, so I'm not really smart at this stuff. I have to do all kinds of research whenever I do anything. So it's Nate Pants 1, and I started out, you know, playing video games and kind of doing tutorials. If I found something hard and then figured it out, I'll do a real quick video on it, like, oh, this is where this weapon is. You know, it took me forever to find it. Here, you don't have to look for it, you know, or just playing games and just like with friends, you know, just hoping that it would entertain people. And then I started doing kind of like a vlog or not a vlog, but, you know, I'd tell stories. Like one day the cops came running down the road, and me and my friend were out front, and they're like, oh, we need it in your house. And we're like, why do you need it in my house? They're like, there's a dude in the river in handcuffs. We're like, okay, go in my house. Like, get in the backyard, go. And well, they ended up catching him, but I told that story and like about my first job and just stuff like that. And then I took 3 of our old music or songs and did like collage of pictures and put them up there. So it's just kind of a scattering of my brain, of my life in a way. I haven't posted anything probably in a year now, because I really want to do it. I like my job, but I would like to do what I'm passionate about instead. And I burnt myself out really fast. I was like, I'm going to put up a video a day. I'm going to put up a video a day. And then I burnt myself out. You know, I was working 10-hour days, 6 days a week, my regular job. So then to come home and even do a 15-minute video, I mean, that burnt me out. So then I was like, oh, I'll slow down. I'll just do like 3 videos a day, you know, and I was still just burning myself out. So I was like, I'm going to take a break. And then, you know, the world got crazy, and there was some personal stuff that happened, and, you know, I just haven't got back to it. I'm actually just pulled my laptop out, and I was getting ready to start doing it again. I just figured I'll just do it for funsies for now, you know.
Honestly, that's the best way to start it, or to
Yeah.
do it for fun. And if it ever catches, then you can make something of it.
Yeah.
But this is cool. I'm going to ask you one of those typical interview questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years, Nate?
Probably still welding stuff. I don't know, maybe move into management. They keep asking me, but
What's holding you back?
I don't want to deal with the politics of it.
Yeah, I understand that one.
Yeah, it's like my job now, it's like I know exactly what I'm doing. I don't have to deal with any of the politics really. And then I talk to my boss and the stuff that he has to deal with, and it's like I don't want to deal with any of that. So okay. I'd rather just keep what I'm doing now. You know, when it starts to be too physically demanding, then maybe, you know, start dealing with the politics of it.
Sure. Now, it seems like you enjoy your job. You're sitting here smiling while talking about it. There's some people I've talked to, they clearly don't like their jobs. What makes you good at your job? What skills do you have that somebody else doesn't?
Having an eye for detail. Like some people, they want to just go really fast for one thing also, and knowing when to slow down, when to speed up, and then reading prints. Some people just can't. They look at a print and they're like, oh, it's like this. And you're like, well, look at it a little bit closer. Like, look at other prints. Like, make sure, you know, and they don't want to take the time to do that. And so slowing down when you need to, speeding up when you need to, and having an eye for details. Pretty much.
Is there a particular reason that you have that eye for detail? Did something happen that you're like, I need to make sure I pay closer attention? Or you just always been that way?
Slightly OCD, you know. If I do something once one way, I need to do it that way again. And it helps me not make mistakes, because if I did it right the first time and I do it the exact same way, then it's not going to be messed up. And then I can go faster the next time and not mess it up.
For sure. Okay. Now, kind of an interesting question for you. If you could go back in time and you could talk to yourself right as you were getting out of high school, and you could go, hey, little Nate, this is what's going to happen to you over the next several years. Here's the one thing you need to know. What do you tell him?
Don't sell your van. No, I don't know. Life's going to be crazy, but just keep going with it. Like, I wouldn't be here where I am now if things wouldn't have happened the way they happened. So I'm happy where I'm at now. So maybe, yeah, just don't get rid of your van. Keep your van.
Beautiful. I love it. Okay, kind of a personal question. I believe we learn the most from our failures in life. You know, whether it's you screwed up really badly and you're like, I'm never going to make that mistake again, or it's a relationship or something. We usually learn more from our failures than our successes. And you're here, you have a job that you seem to love. What is something you have failed at in life, and what did you learn from it?
Oh man, I've messed up pretty good. I bought a house, foreclosed on the house, got divorced, all in a year. Mainly it made me reflect on myself and looking at what is happening around you more in the eyes of the people that are dealing with it, rather than what you feel that you would react to it. So I learned that I was overreacting to things that I shouldn't have been overreacting to. And I also realized that no matter how hard things get, like, there's tomorrow. You don't beat yourself up for it. Just, put one foot in front of the other and keep moving on. Learn from it. Take that experience and don't let it happen again.
Absolutely. I know a few people who could really learn that lesson. Okay. How about this? What is something you're working to improve on in yourself today?
Something I'm trying to probably working on my YouTube channel some more, and like getting back to having fun doing it, not letting myself get burnt out. Just take it take it and have fun with it. Not push anymore,
Absolutely. One day at a time.
Yeah.
All right. How about this one? What is something that people misunderstand about you when they meet you for the first time?
That I'm a nerd. I covered in tattoos, and I'm all grizzled up, and most of the time I'm in my work clothes, my work boots. I don't look like somebody that's going to go home and take a shower and then plop on the couch and play video games. I talking about books and what I'm into, the range is so huge, and somebody might meet me and they want to talk about hunting and fishing. I'm like, yeah, I love hunting and fishing, and then somebody else comes walking up, they're like, oh, hey, that this new game's coming out. And it's like, oh yeah, I'm super excited about this, and so my interests are so all over the place that if they just met me, it would be like, oh, you're a fabricator, you work with steel, like you can see it, like you're all covered in oil and stuff, and so you look kind of like a hillbilly, but you're actually just a big old nerd, like.
What is that like when somebody who does not expect you to be a nerd, like, oh, you're like a gamer?
No, normally it's because when they meet me, like, they'll start talking about something, and like I said, my interests are so all over the place, like, oh yeah, I know about that, and we'll talk about it. And then usually what happens is then mutual friend that knows me from like playing video games or whatever, then we get together, and then they're just kind of like, oh, so you do that too? And it's like, yeah, I'm into all of that. If it's fun, I like to do it. So.
Rock on. All right. This has been an absolutely wonderful interview, Nate. How do people find you? Where are you on social media if they want to reach out to you?
I'm not really on social media much. I need to probably fix that. I'll just my YouTube channel, just Nate Pants 1, And it's Nate Pants spelled out with no spaces, and then the number 1 with no spaces.
Beautiful. Okay. Wrapping up, is there any last thoughts you want to share? Anything I didn't ask you think we still need to cover?
No. It's been pretty fun.
Absolutely. Well, I genuinely appreciate you coming on, Nate. This was a blast. I'm sitting here listening to you. I'm like, what do I need fabricated? I'm sure I have a use for it somewhere.
Oh, there's always something. There's always something.
All right. Well, I genuinely appreciate it. Thank you, Nate.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me on here.
Certainly. And for everybody else, I'm going to remind you all, don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.